What's up, everybody? Rocking it out. Some Murder Metal Mayhem. If you're wondering who that guy was screaming like a fool, that was me back in the day with my band
Wow.
Low 12. Yeah, that's the same song I use all the time because you know how YouTube is with the songs or music and stuff. Well, I did Low 12 had 6 albums, and 2 DVDs. The problem is all of them are on streaming except for the one I use for the song bites, because if I use my own,
Yeah.
then I'm going to have to defend the fact that I wrote the damn song, which I don't even know how you do that.
I was gonna say I wouldn't be surprised that they would make you defend your own copyright
Oh, I'm
ownership.
sure they
Yeah.
would. I mean,
Oh,
how
for
do
sure.
they know that I'm the guy that wrote that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I thought, rather than deal with that crap, I would just use songs off the album that's not streaming, called Flesh of the Week. But anyway, the song "Crawl Space" about John Wayne Gacy.
Oh wow.
So yeah, so that's what that's about. But it's funny. I had gone to a conference that week that I wrote the song, and they give you one of those "Hello, my name is"
Yeah.
badges, and you write your name on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when I was writing the song, that badge was like on my dresser, and I'm looking at it. And so that's the opening line of the song is "Hello, my name is Gacy," and then that's what starts it off. So yeah, so I usually use instrumental stuff, but I thought this time I'm going to throw some vocals in. But
Yeah, that YouTube that whole like copyright thing is a thing. I didn't even think about
so,
it, but I got a tattoo session. I streamed live for 7 hours, and I got copyright violated the entire time because the shop was playing music on the speaker in their shop, and so I
oh
got copyrighted all day long with like 20 songs, like violation, violation. I'm like, oh my god, like all I was doing is just they were playing it in their shop. So
yeah, they're really strict about it. I know. Even in the Murder Metal Mayhem podcast, at the end of each episode, I do a karaoke song, and I scream like I scream, and the music is like the original music. So I do like "My Heart Will Go On" and like these like real sappy songs, but I'm like screaming balls out. So it's pretty funny, and they flag every one of those, even though it's a karaoke version of the song. They still flag it, and I even did a couple of parodies with like TNT. I used that for a parody I did, and they flagged it even with different words and everything. So they're like incredibly strict with it. So yeah, so that's what that was a little Low 12 there. The song "Crawl Space" about John Wayne Gacy. But anyway, good to have you here, Lee. Everybody filtering in here. My mom in the chat, thankfully, posting the Yankees are up 3-0, bottom of the second. That's good to see. How are your Mariners doing, Lee? I'm not
gosh,
trying
I
to.
you were just gonna I was just gonna say you just asked that. And I'm like, crap, I haven't watched the Mariners since a little after the freaking All-Star break, and I think they're in prime position, but
Oh wow,
I
okay.
haven't seen. Yeah, they should be loaded as long as we can get past what the Astros, who are leading the division, last I saw. So
Yeah, they're always tough. That's for
yeah.
sure. So good to see everybody. Got Donna Lembo in here, our mod. Uh, Catherine S, who's the other mod we use. She's on a vacation, but she had checked in on the message board or the community tab and said that she misses everybody and she'll be back soon. And they guess they came in. They're out in like camping or something, so they went to Civilization for the night, and so she was able to get online and stuff and that. So, Catherine, we're welcoming you back when you get back. But we got the usual cast of characters here, Lee. We got Karis from Voice of Astrology,
Karis.
of course, Donna Lembo, Words Bloom from up there in Toronto, and let's see, my mom is here.
MJK. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Leah and everything. Me, I'm not familiar with that one, so that's awesome. Isles of Shoals has been always here and asking about the Brewers. I know the Brewers are like destroying it over there. which is really cool. That's an amazing stadium. I've driven by it before. It's one of those retractable roof stadiums there where the Brewers play. So it's pretty
I
awesome.
did look that the Mariners are 2 games back of Houston. I saw that the Yankees, however, are like 4.5 games back of Toronto.
Oh, of Toronto. Wow. Okay. I haven't
Yeah.
looked at the standings lately. I've been watching the games, but
So the Yankees have some work to do. They got to do some work here.
yeah, they had been in a slump, so it's good to see him back. But baseball's is always fun. It goes down to the wire, and I can't say I'm very spoiled as a Yankees fan with 26
Yes.
rings.
Yeah.
Kind of hard, kind of hard to be down on them when they've been that dominating for that damn long.
Yeah, for sure.
We got James Brzanskis, Aloha from Hawaii. That's awesome. Anybody else want to let us know where you're from? That would be cool to see some of the different places represented here. Got Cheryl Fitzgerald, Angela Kay, and everybody, Penny, Inglet. So nice to see everybody here. My mom told me, Lee, that she went to the doctor and she was talking true crime with the doctor and spreading some Murder Metal Mayhem love with the doctor, and the doctor is going to check it out. So if the doctor is watching that my mom had talked to, that welcome here, but maybe not. But I know my dentist is he was actually at the University of Florida when Danny Rolling was doing his thing.
Oh, wow.
So when I first met him, we started talking about true crime, and then he got on that. I'm like, oh, I know who that is. It's the singing serial killer. So
It's amazing how many people are into true crime, because everywhere I go, if the conversation comes up about what I do and I say I do true crime, their eyes always light up. Oh, really? True crime? It's like they're so excited about true crime. I didn't realize how big of a
yeah,
deal it is for a lot of people. But
it is amazing. It really is. Leah says she's from Ohio. We got Carolyn from England. Cheryl, Central Florida. Very cool. And Lee,
voice
we
of-
got somebody asking about this tattoo.
I know.
It's not on your like butt cheek or anything, is it? Is it
Oh,
something?
no, but yeah, it is. But I can show it if you'd like. But no, it's on my forearm, which is on this arm under a sleeve. I'd have to take this off, but it wouldn't matter much because it is now starting to peel. So it's got that milky look to it as the skin is starting to like get pissed off and start to flake away. So it hasn't really started peeling, but it's got that really mottled look. It's kind of nasty at the moment, but yeah. That was a 7-hour tattoo job, and it was, by the way, funny. Just quick thing: when I held my hand out for the photo, my hand was shaking, and I'm like, "What the hell with my hand?" He's like, "Dude, you just got tattooed for 7 hours. Your hand's gonna shake after that." I'm like, "Oh, okay."
That's cool. So that's your first tattoo then?
No, I've got like 5 or 6 of them now. So,
Oh, okay.
and the guys at the shop loved it so much they want to do a whole sleeve on me. They're like, "Come back up and let's do it again. That was so much fun." So
That's
see.
cool. So you got a Devil's
Advocates. Yeah, I had them design kind of a dark gothic thing with my logo, or not my logo, but my name, Devil's Advocates, and a scale of justice on it and stuff like that. So it looks pretty cool.
Oh, cool. Is it upper arm or lower?
Lower forearm. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, definitely anxious to see that when it's all pretty and
Yeah.
done.
I almost showed it, but you can't see it on the screen anyways. It's a moot point.
Yeah, no.
But
And
anyways,
you're sporting, and by the way, you're sporting some cool wear there. What do you got? That hoodie?
Oh yeah. So yeah, I got my new merchandise. I made this Devil's Advocates zipper hoodie for going to the Crime Con. I don't know if you can see it, but I got my logo.
Oh yeah.
YouTube,
Oh, sweet.
It's slick. I was super excited. I just got those yesterday. So people have bought some merch and I'm shipping that stuff out here shortly. And I get to wear it at the Crime Con, which is coming. Holy crap. Like Crime Con is literally 1 week away. I'm going to be in Aurora, Colorado at this time next week, which by the way, heads up, Pete, I can't do our show next Thursday because I'll be in Crime Con.
Understood. Maybe next year I'll go with you. I'd love to do something like that.
Yeah, that would be great.
Right now it's still trying to get used to this, and I still got some things going on with surgeries, but once all that's over with, especially when I'm sporting my new prosthetic, which October 1st will be my first appointment at the VA where I get to start working with a temporary prosthetic while they figure out what they need to do with the real one that they're making for me. So getting close. So by then I'll be kicking ass. I'll be running marathons and all that. So be able to get on a plane and come see you. That would be fantastic.
That would be cool. Very cool.
Yeah, we got people from more from England. We definitely got some people here from England, which is awesome. And somebody's commenting that that was a good movie, The Devil's Advocate. So
That it
that
was.
was a good movie for
Yeah.
sure. So
Vanity. It's my favorite sin.
so yeah, so we're we're doing a Long Island serial killer episode tonight. We're gonna do some updates and stuff. It's not gonna be like jam packed, so we may get into some other subjects. We actually will. We've already talked about one thing we're gonna get into, and I also wanted to mention if anybody's heard or saw AR's post on his channel, but AR is in the hospital. He's got surgery tomorrow morning, I think it is. He just texted me. He's got an infection on the bone of his hand, or one of the bones of his hand. And so, think about AR, put him in your thoughts, and he's going to do this surgery, and then they're going to send him home with some antibiotics, probably the IV style, like I had to do, where he's going to have to do the flushes and all that stuff. So I've been there with that, but they attack it aggressively, and hopefully they can save not having to take parts off of him like they had to do with me. So
Pete, I didn't say this before, but I've only had interactions with AR on your show. I don't have any personal communication with him. So let AR know that I'm thinking about him and that I wish him well. So if you get a
I
chance.
will. Oh yeah, we're talking. Yeah, when I was in the hospital, I talked to him pretty much every day. He was one of the people that really was great about reaching out and helping me and posting stuff. And so I'm trying to return the favor by helping
Yeah.
him out as well. So yeah, but
Yeah.
just be thinking about him that he's got some heavy stuff going on. Not to mention he's already dealing with some heavy stuff with his eyes and everything else. So definitely feel bad for him. But you've got some new merch. I got some new merch here. The new barbed wire logo here with the blood spatter. I got
That's sick. Yeah.
T-shirts. I got hoodies. You could put this logo on anything you want that they offer. Tapestries, pillows, phone cases, um, magnets, stickers, whatever. They're doing a big sale this weekend. It's like 10 or 15% off. So you can get this shirt for $16, which is really a good price for a t-shirt, and the quality is amazing. They're 100% cotton. They don't shrink at all. They're real soft, but I'm just like the perfect blend for what I like about t-shirts. So digging that. We've even got a tote bag, Lee. When you go to the grocery store, you
Yeah.
take the groceries home. How about some Murder Metal Mayhem? You know what I
Badass.
mean? You got, some tomatoes you want to throw in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whatever you need, man, I got it. So,
Tomatoes.
I
A bloody mess with the
love
tomatoes on the
tomatoes, man.
bottom. Yeah.
I'm a tomato freak. I got a hoodie too with the new barbed wire logo on it. The hoodies
Nice.
are legit too. They
Yeah.
have you can get them in heavyweight or lighter weight. This is the lighter weight one, and it's definitely got it's legit. It'll definitely keep you warm. And some caps that I got too.
Nice.
So a little bit of everything. I got the original logo and the barbed wire logo if you're interested. But T Public, just a great website. Got so many great shirts there. That's my Achilles heel is t-shirts. So when you get some t-shirts that I can wear, I'm definitely down and adding you to my collection. But so yeah, so we're gonna talk about Long Island serial killer. Of course, I've got that new show I've been working on Tuesday nights, the Serial Killer Story Hour, which I'm actually working on a shirt design for that. It's pretty funny. Um, is me talking to like a group of like kindergartners. It's pretty funny. And it's a serial killer story hour on the chalkboard, but yeah, it's pretty good. And so I do the more obscure killers. So we've done Joel Rifkin, which was brutal. Harvey Glattman, one of the ones that they all refer to. BTK, Ramirez, Bundy, Gacy, all of them were all about Glattman. So that's a good one. If you missed it, go watch some of these because there's some good content there. They're short episodes, an hour or less. And I did a more current case, this last one on Tuesday. Taylor Shabiznes, that crazy woman from Wisconsin that chopped her boyfriend's head off and put it in a bucket for his mom to find, as well as some other parts of him that we'll leave it there. But it was brutal. And we did that one, and I did that with my friend Juan Molina, who's a great buddy from 30 years. Played in a band, Blessed with Pain, that we used to play with all the time. So great guy. But so yeah, so that's what I'm doing Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Central. So if you're interested, subscribe to the channel so you know when I'm doing those. But like I said, every Tuesday at 7. So yeah, so that's what's up tonight. We got the usual rules. We want people to be civil with these smaller groups. It's a lot easier to keep that in control. But we got Donna there ready to pounce if that's needed. But I don't think we'll have any issues. You guys are always cool, but you never know. You never know. And I was also going to mention, I always get this on the channel. I know, Lee, you do as well, with people saying, or people that are, fans of Pavarotti,
Yeah.
on the channel saying, hey, you need to go watch him and this and that. And while I don't agree with everything he said, and I'm sure he doesn't agree with everything I've said, and that's fine. I commented on one of his videos the other day, and he commented back and was very cordial and cool. So that's awesome. So, we deal with enough adversity following true crime that we don't need to be fighting with each other. That's for damn sure. And I agree with the core of what he's, talking about. You know what I mean? It's not like I completely, like, there's some people like Brian Enton and some of those idiots. I can't even watch it because it's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's not like that with him. There are some things I disagree with, but overall, I mean, he, putting out some great content. So that's cool. And if you're a Pavarotti fan, just be cool. Like, we're all in good terms. It's just that everybody does their channel their own way, just like you do with yours and I do with mine. So,
did you hear about the falling out I had with Pavarotti briefly for like a very, very short period of time? I can't remember if I told you about that.
I don't know.
I didn't think he knew who I was from Man on the Moon. And then he did a video, and I'm watching his video one day, and just randomly he says, and this Devil's Advocates guy is up in my channel calling me out on this shit. And I'm like, I did no such thing. And so I made an apology video. I'm like, I don't know what you think I said, but I swear I didn't say it. And he's like, oh, no, I'm so sorry. It was a different Devil's Advocates, not you. So he cleared the air. That was my moment with Pav, is like, he's all, the Devil's Advocates up in my shit. And I'm like, I was not.
That's funny. I know it is cool when the other creators, that's why I always try to give credit where credit's due. Yeah. I wish others did the same, because there's some people that I know damn well watch my videos and then do theirs because it's obvious. But I know Get a Clue, when that guy was out, he was a jackass, but there were a lot of people that were hell-bent on Get a Clue, but he called me out in a positive way and a negative way, both. But it did, brought people to the channel. And Harsh, he's mentioned me more than once. And, it's always nice when a bigger channel reaches out like that. That's really cool. So that's what it should be like. Everybody should be, right. But of course, people are people, and, not always are going to be doing the right thing. But
I got to laugh. The comment that came in on our stream here, DA, I swear I relate to you so much, which is weird because I'm nothing like you. So they relate to me, but we are not the same.
I thought it would be funny to do a side by side with you and like an auctioneer when you're in like a mid rant and just see like how close you are to that speed of talking. Because
30. Yeah.
which is funny because I'm the one from the East Coast. You think I would be talking real fast, but I originally from the East Coast, but I'm in the Midwest now. But yeah, pretty mellow nowadays. But you definitely got me beat on the speed talking there. But
I think I'm picking up speed as I get older.
but there's the website. I'm going to link to that in the description if you want to get any of my merch. Comes really quick too. They send them out fast. I get them like a week. Really good. So very cool. Well, let's talk about some Long Island serial killer, Lee. What do we want to get into first? I know, you know, there's always people out there that maybe don't know a lot about the case, or really brand new to it. So I never want to just assume everybody's like well versed. But do you have like a little elevator speech you can give on the case and kind of where we're at now with it?
Yeah, I mean, right now, well, it's funny because I think we might have a clip we can show of. I just interviewed John Ray. I mean, the Long Island serial killer case started with the disappearance of Shannon Gilbert quite a long time ago. Wasn't it 2010 or something like that? I think it was.
Right.
And Shannon Gilbert had gone missing on Long Island at Oak Beach. And called 911, said someone was trying to kill her. They looked for her body for quite a while. They took some winter months off because it was too cold, and they resumed the search for Shannon Gilbert. And in the process of looking for Shannon Gilbert, they found 4 bodies next to each other on Gilgo Beach, which was named at the time the Gilgo 4, and they believed that they had a serial killer on their hands at that point. It took them a while to find Shannon Gilbert. Shannon was quickly ruled an accidental death. They said that she drowned in the marsh when she was in some kind of drug-induced haze.
Right.
And it was funny because I don't know when you want to show it, but we've got a little clip I wanted to share with you.
Yeah, we can do it whenever you want. You want to do it now?
Yeah, so let's set it up a little bit. So John Ray ended up getting hired by Shannon Gilbert's mother, Mary Gilbert, to find out what happened to Shannon Gilbert. And Mary always believed that law enforcement was actually partially at fault for her daughter's death, because there was an individual by the name of Peter Hackett who Shannon ran up to his door and knocked on the door. And one version of the story says Peter Hackett turned her away and said, I'll call 911 for help. I don't know what's going on, but he didn't want to let this crazy woman in who was banging on his door. But then it turns out that Mary said that Peter Hackett, who happened to be involved with the police department as I don't remember if it was forensics or a pathologist, but somehow he was related with as a medical examiner or something like that for the police department. He ended up calling Mary and said, hey, by the way, your daughter came to my house that night. I run a house for wayward girls. I took her in, I treated her medically, and I let her go. And she got back in the car with her driver. I don't know what happened to her. And he called Mary and told her that twice. But then when the official story broke, he said, I don't know what you're talking about. She never came into my house. So Mary always suspected Peter Hackett was involved in the murder. So yeah, if you want to roll that clip, you should roll the clip.
Yeah.
I got a chance to interview John Ray, who was hired by the family to look for Shannon Gilbert. And he told the story on my show, on our interview, which I'm going to premiere on September 10th in its entirety. But we got a little clip of me talking to John Ray about Shannon Gilbert and Mary Gilbert and that situation, if you want to play that.
Yeah, and John Ray's an attorney, and he's a very well-known attorney in the New York area.
43 years he's been an attorney, and yeah, he's covered some major high-profile cases.
Yeah, so this definitely a good get that you got, Lee, for this interview. That's awesome. So let me see. I'm going to share the screen with you.
And hope you get the audio, because sometimes you don't get the audio if you don't do it right. I found that out with StreamYard. Sometimes you don't get the audio, but yeah. And by the way, while we're loading that up, somebody said that Shannon's 911 audio is weird. Did you know it took like 4 years for them to release the 911 call and transcripts while simultaneously arguing that Shannon Gilbert was an accidental death? They stymied people from getting the 911 call as an open investigation. I don't know how you do both of those. In fact, I asked John Ray about that. How do you say simultaneously that she drowned, therefore it's a closed case, but then not release the 911 call that she made because it's an ongoing investigation? I don't even know how you do that. And talk to John a little bit about that as well on the interview that I had with him.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I've got it here. I'm just trying to make sure I play the right one because one doesn't have.
There it is.
Okay, cool.
I have to ask you, didn't Shannon have like a titanium jaw or something unique that would have made them identify? And why did they jump to the gun and tell a mother that they found her daughter if they could have quickly ruled out that it wasn't her?
I don't know why they did some of the things they did. I have no idea in God's name why they claimed she drowned when they had absolutely no evidence of it whatsoever. Zero. They didn't even know where she was.
Right.
So these things don't make sense unless you start to know some of the other facts, and they start to come together and you say there's something gravely wrong here. All right. Well, what happens is when Shannon finally is located, they have the chutzpah to bring her down from Ellenville in the rain and take her up on the top of a roof of a house to point out in Oak Beach. The house was in Oak Beach on the in the marsh. That's where her body was found, right down there. The chutzpah is not that. The chutzpah was taking her up onto this 20 some odd foot roof deck and do this because it was Dr. Peter Hackett's home.
Oh my gosh.
And she's already told them she thinks he's the killer.
Oh my gosh.
They use his home to identify the spot where where Shannon is found. It's outrageous. And,
right.
And of course, when that happened, mind you, she's completely paralyzed by all this. All this occurs before I get into the case, but she's now solidly convinced that the police are thwarting this case on purpose.
Let me get this clear. They knew that she suspected Hackett when they took her up on top of his house to look, right?
She herself insisted that Hackett was a suspect.
It's almost like I don't want to go too crazy, but it's almost like they're screwing it. They're to take her to the guy's house that she suspects and say, hey, look, we can see where your daughter's body is from this guy's house. Like, I can't even imagine that.
Yeah, well, myself. That's what happened.
Good stuff, Lee. I really like that. I'm anxious to see the whole thing. When is that? You said
September 10th. We're gonna premiere that interview, which is about an hour and 20 minutes long with John Ray and I, and John's going to be on hand to take live questions and answers afterwards. We think that we're going to do this with Bertie Bombshells on his show, and Bertie's going to help do some interviews because Bertie's been wanting to get into the Long Island serial killer case as well. So John's going to be on, I think it's about 6:00 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Wednesday, the 10th, is when we're going to premiere the interview for about an hour and 20 minutes, and then we're going to do questions and answers afterwards.
That's fantastic, man. That's cool. Yeah, John Ray. That's a big name.
Yeah.
And I love the chutzpah. You don't hear
the chutzpah. Yeah, and John
here.
dropped a few. He dropped some major bombs on that show. And it's funny because when we got done, John was like, man, there's a lot of stuff I could have told you that I've never said to anybody before. And I'm like, you already dropped like at least 3 bombs, if not 4 bombs on the show. I think that's great for now. And if I can get him on again, I will. So
yeah, no, that's awesome. That is awesome. Good work, Lee. Good to see you doing good things over there for sure. But yeah, that's an interesting update. That is so messed up that they took the mother to that house and had her view where her daughter's remains were found from that guy's rooftop. That's
right. And I talk about it briefly in there, but again, Shannon Gilbert had a distinctive titanium jaw,
right.
And he told me they called Mary Gilbert when they first found the Gilgo 4, and they would say, hey, we think we found your daughter. And they brought her up to identify the body only to find out it's not. So imagine Mary Gilbert's processing of thinking, oh my God, they found my daughter. Nope, it's not her. Oh my God, they found her daughter. They did to her several times. And that's why I asked John, like, if they know her jaw had a titanium jaw, why not look into that before you call the mother and have her come identify a body you could quickly rule out as not being her? Wow. And as he said, I don't know why. They did a lot of things that they did in that case.
Yeah, and like we've talked about before on other episodes we've done together is, the fact that the chief was in all sorts of shenanigans over there, assaulting witnesses, and I mean, just all sorts of just crazy stuff. And then, because of his attitude, that those women didn't matter and were kind of less people than a normal person. That's just terrible,
There's
and
there's some crazy avenues, and this is why it's important for me for my show, because I have a stick up my butt, if you will, for corrupt cops and things like that, and corruption at the high levels. And in that case, again, the chief of police, that investigation got stymied for a very long time because the chief of police, James Burke, who got promoted, who, by the way, had a reputation of being a bad cop when he was promoted to the chief of police. And many people wanted to know, how the fuck did that guy get promoted in the first place? Pardon my French. Then when he gets promoted, he dismantles the task force looking into the Gilgo Beach murders.
Yeah, turn the FBI away.
Takes
And
the
everything.
FBI off the case, and people are like, what the hell's going on? And then later on, it comes out through John Ray, by the way, that he represented a sex worker who said, by the way, I used to party with James Burke. That cop and I used to party with the prostitutes. He'd do drugs with prostitutes. He was rough with girls. And by the way, Rex Heuermann was at a party with Burke. So then you got to wonder, is the police department covering up for Rex Heuermann? Were they buddies with him? I mean, how far does this rabbit hole go? It's absolutely nuts.
Yeah, and like you, I'm just like, eyes wide open, just anxious to get more information, because like you, I'm, definitely the corrupt, whether it's cops or government officials or whatever. I mean, that's definitely in my wheelhouse as well. But it sounds like that doctor was kind of like the Eric Gower of the
Idaho
Long Island
4
serial killer case.
Yeah.
The way he was all buddies with the cops, and his wife worked for Moscow police, and
Yes.
he had some sort of possible involvement with it. So it's so funny how these cases are so, as true crime goes, there's so many similarities in cases that it really boggles my mind,
I don't want to give too much away from the interview, because I don't think I will. Like, first of all, even if I tell you what John and I talked about, I don't think it's going to rob hearing it from his own voice. But one of the things that he said that kind of cued me in was Rex Heuermann, the alleged Long Island serial killer. And again, I personally have questions. I don't think, when I look at the 7 bodies that they've attributed to Rex Heuermann, some of those bodies don't match the same MO. As I've said before, the difference between somebody who puts people in burlap bags and ties them up versus somebody who chops them up in pieces and distributes them across the island looks like 2 different killers to me. And in fact, one of the big interviews I had scheduled for this week was Josh Zeman, and he did a special called The Killing Season on A&E, and they had a guy that said, you're not dancing with one serial killer, you're dancing with 2. These are 2 different guys. And I believe that to this day, that I think there was 2 different killers and that those bodies are all being attributed to Rex Heuermann. Now, that doesn't mean I have some kind of love affair for Rex Heuermann and I'm trying to, say, oh, you poor guy is getting convicted of some murders he didn't do. But at the end of the day, if you convict Rex Heuermann for murders he didn't do, that means the real killer gets away with that, because they'll never look into that case. But the last thing I was going to say about it, as I'm doing motor mouth, was John Ray also suggested a possible connection between Heuermann and law enforcement, which is that Rex Heuermann was a big duck hunter. He was into guns, he was into duck hunting, and those clubs, they have private clubs with a lot of officers that are in duck hunting clubs, and it's possible, just an allegation, it's possible he could have met officers in the duck hunting club, could have made connections, they could have all been into the girls thing, partying, drugs, all kinds of stuff. So who knows where it's going to go.
Yeah, and I watched something last night, Lee, talking about, I was brushing up on some things with this case, and there's some other bodies they're finding there in New England that were wrapped in cloth, buried out in remote areas, that they're wondering if they could be, maybe it was the ones in Vegas. Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, it was the some unsolved cases in Las Vegas that were young prostitutes, very similar in stature to the other girls, very petite, seemed to be his thing. And then the wrapping of the bodies in cloth, not burlap, but cloth, makes you wonder, because he was, he spent time in Vegas. He's also got property in South Carolina. So
and in addition, crazy. And in addition, again, I didn't point out, by the way, the interview that I had with Josh Zeman has been postponed. He's on a tour right now promoting a documentary that just came out, and he's actually traveling all over. So I think he got a little busy and we had to reschedule our interview, but that's coming up. But in The Killing Season, he pointed out, Heuermann also had gone to Atlantic City. And in Atlantic City, there was just like Gilgo 4, there was 4 prostitutes' bodies found along a waterway. All of their heads were turned in the same direction towards the city, as if they were posed that way. And there was similarities that brought up to the Gilgo 4 bodies dumped in a row, all in, you know, and so they were like, is that Rex's kills? At the end of the day, there are people who believe that Rex Heuermann's body count is going to be in the hundreds when they're all said and done.
Wow.
By the way, I wanted to talk to you about that because, you know, you've got a fascination for serial killers and stuff like that. Here's one of the things I was going to ask you. So it's funny because they talk about, for example, some serial killers get insulted if another serial killer dumps bodies in their dumping ground. Now, this is a little brutal, right, for the show. But
Right.
but then there's other people that these killers are a bit narcissistic and they want to go down in history as some of the biggest kills. So would a Rex Heuermann be okay with bodies that aren't his being attributed to him because it makes him look like a bigger kill count? And there's that narcissist part of, oh yeah, attribute as many bodies as you can to me because I'm a badass. Or is it like I don't kill that way and you disgust me? You know, so it's interesting.
Yeah, I think it could go either way. I think it would depend on the serial killer, but I know like BTK, the reason why he came out, he would have got away with it had he just shut his mouth. But it was like on the 20-year anniversary of the first murders, they did an article in the newspaper, big spread in the paper, and talked about the guy that was writing a book about BTK. Well, BTK flew off the handle because he wanted to write his own book.
Yeah.
So he came out of hiding, so to speak, and started communicating with the cops through the newspaper. And that's what eventually led to his capture because he was so stupid. He asked the cops, if I send you something on a floppy disk, like the old floppy disk, would you be able to tell what computer it came from? And of course, they're like, oh no, we would have no idea. And then when they arrested him and they had him in the interrogation room, he like got really upset, like
You lied to me.
really butthurt over the fact that they lied to him and told him that they couldn't get his information from the disc, which of course that's how they got him at the church there. But what an ass. I mean, thought that, you know, how dare you? And here he is killing people and doing all what he did, you know.
It's funny because it reminds me that it seems like there's a fair number of at least this could be a stereotype, but it seems like there's a fair number of serial killers who almost develop a buddy feeling with the law enforcement. It's like a cat and mouse game. Can you catch me?
Oh, yeah.
They actually become friendly with the cops. They feel like they're kind of like in a partnership of this game that they're playing. Catch me and I'll leave you clues. So, you know, I can see how you'd be like, hey, look, you know, you betrayed me. Even though you're trying to catch me, you betrayed me because
Right.
I thought we had a thing going here.
Exactly. Yeah, Gacy was like that when they were tailing him. He was like taking him to dinner and stuff, you know, inviting him into the house. And then when one guy was in his bathroom, you know, using the bathroom, he could smell from the vents that there was decomposition going on. And that's when they figured out it was the bodies were actually there. You know, that's the thing with Gacy. You know, he's, you know, like all of these guys, they study other serial killers. And there's a new documentary, if you guys are interested, on what was it on HBO, called "The Devil or the Serial Killer's Apprentice" with Dr. Catherine Ramsland, and she investigates the guy that assisted serial killer Dean Corll, which most people don't know who he is, but he was in Houston and his body count was like 27, something like that. So he had a lot of victims, but most people don't even know who he is. But he also had a thing for young boys, and he would bury them at his boat storage shed. And so I think that Gacy, I know, was a student of his because that's how he learned the handcuff and the rope trick, was from Corll and his buddy. And then Gacy maybe decided, well, let me bury him in my own crawl space so I have more control over the scene, where, you know, in a boat storage shed, you know, you kind of lose control of it maybe, or wanted him close to him, you know, like we see with some of these, you know, guys like Ed Kemper buried the one body right outside his mom's bedroom window. as kind of a diss to his mom, but also because he wanted her close. So it was his favorite one. So these guys, what makes them tick is really fascinating. But what I'm fascinated by is the parallels between so many of these guys.
Yeah.
While some of them are very different, some of them are strikingly similar, and I think it is because they study each other and learn from the mistakes of others.
And I think, in Long Island, I mean, many people have hinted there's at any place in America, it seems like there is active serial killers at any given time. I can't remember the number they had, but there was a number on one of the shows that estimated it was something like hundreds of serial killers that are active at any given time. It's way worse than people probably realize. And there's a lot of missing bodies in this country that just don't get reported and they believe are probably the active serial killers. So, in Long Island, I think there's probably multiple killers that dump bodies on Long Island. And again, at the end of the day, how many of them are really going to be Rexes? And you asked earlier, what's coming up in the case. What's coming up in the case is September 3rd, there's a Fry hearing.
Right.
And this has shades of Idaho 4, because what it's related to is they used genetic genealogy kind of data again to tie Rex Heuermann to the murders of these people, and ended up basically having to get DNA from Rex Heuermann by getting pizza crust from him that he dumped in a trash. I think
Right.
he took a coffee cup from his daughter who was on a train and something like that. They use those to basically get their DNA and then run them through databases and make genealogy hits to try to make the connection. And the Fry hearing coming up is to discuss whether or not the science is good enough to link Heuermann to these cases based on the genetic testing that they did.
Yeah. I did see that Fry hearing was coming up, and I think that's going to be huge, just like it was in Idaho 4. Is the DNA going to be let in or not? Any hints on the judge in this case, Lee?
No,
He or
I don't think
she
that.
seem to-
I don't know that they've assigned a judge, or that we don't have a trial date, right? I mean, we have pre-trial stuff happening with the Fry hearings with that, but I don't know if that's the same judge that's going to preside over the trial or not. So I'm not sure.
Okay, we got quite a few comments in the chat here from Jay Ray, but they're asking, was Rex already in the database?
I want to say no. I want to, but I'm not 100% sure. I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think he had any priors or anything.
Yeah, I don't think he had any priors, so I don't think he was in CODIS or anything like that. And so I think again they developed one of those genealogy type things to get Heuermann linked to the case. So I think it seemed like that when I was looking into it, that was the case. And part of the whole argument is that whatever the science they're using for linking, and by the way, in case people don't realize, some of the hairs tying Heuermann to the murders are not Heuermann's. They're his wife and his daughter's hair, right? And some people have said, what are you suggesting? Is the wife and daughter involved in it? Well, one of the bodies, I think the daughter would have been one. So I don't, how does that even happen? How could the daughter, I don't even know how you can make that happen. If the daughter was one and her hair's at the scene, I don't know. The point being is that it's kind of sketchy how the data even got there, but it's not even necessarily Rex's, it's family members.
Yeah, and there's another tie to Idaho for the transfer of DNA. You got the hair from the home maybe ends up on that roll of duct tape, and then that roll of duct tape's used to, package them up, so to speak, and the hair then it transfers to the body. I mean, these things happen all the time. That's why it cracks me up with the Idaho 4 case when you have people that don't follow true crime, beyond that case. They don't realize how common that is. This is not something that's unheard of, and it's often challenged because it's something that could be easily explained away by other means, like ending up on a roll of duct tape, or was she right there binding them up with them? That's a crazy thought.
And here's the thing, and I know I don't want to be branded a conspiracy theorist, but we already know there's sketchy shit in Suffolk County with the police department in this case. So is it plausible in any stretch of the imagination that when they decided they wanted to go after Rex Heuermann, you just plant a hair at the scene and go, oh, by the way, we have a hair tying him to this hair, and we have a hair.
Right.
it would be easy if you have a corrupt department
Yes.
to say we don't have a good link, so let's just make sure a hair ends up at that scene. Oh, look, we have a hair, and nobody will explain how the hair got there. It might not make logical sense, but as long as they say, hey, DNA says he was there, so he was there, you have to ask, if you already have a corrupt police department, would that happen?
It happens, dude. I mean, I know Bob Mata, who's an attorney that's got a channel, Defense Diaries. Bob and I did a convention together. He was a speaker there, and I sat in on it and talked to him later. But Bob, his dad was Gacy's attorney, and Bob said that the thing that really got them to solidify the Gacy case was a receipt from this photo lab that the last victim worked at that they found in his trash. But actually, Bob Mata said his dad found out the cops took the trash from the garbage truck and put it in his garbage can.
Right.
They wouldn't be able to use it if it wasn't in the house, and they knew it was his. So it's like, that's a tough one, morally, right? You're bending the rules, but you're doing it for a good reason because you want to get this scumbag off the street. And they had him, but they just needed more evidence. So, I mean, it could be something like that, or it could be just, I just want to be done with this case. I don't want to deal with it. And bam, like that.
And I don't want to sidetrack us too far into off the list into Idaho 4, but the same kind of question came up there with chain of custody.
Right.
When did the knife sheath, when did the single source piece of DNA show up at the crime scene? Was it after they decided they knew who they wanted to target for it, and then they placed the DNA there? Because that's, again,
right,
what the defense was arguing, is that was planted evidence. They weren't necessarily saying that the sheath was planted, but the DNA could have been planted. All it takes is some cop to place a piece of DNA because they know they want to finger this guy. And if they can put a piece of DNA, no matter how small it is, at the crime scene, they can be like, see, there's the proof he was there.
That's right. So I mean, it happens, whether it's for good or bad. Obviously, the right answer is the cops should follow the rules. But we all know it's a sick world out there, and these guys have a difficult job to do. But Karis at Voice of Astrology brings up a good point here. Serial killers' egos and superiority complexes are gigantic and astronomical, like a lot of cops. So yeah, I mean, it's an interesting tie there with them and the cops. But yeah, the narcissistic behavior, they think that they're the smartest people in the room, and that's why a lot of them get caught, as they get cocky.
Yeah, I mean, and I can see that. I mean, I don't want to totally stereotype, but I think law enforcement probably does attract a fair number of narcissists, because what kind of profession is better than a place where everybody has to do what you say? Like it's understood. You don't question me. I'm the authority. And that's got to be great for a person who's a narcissist. So I think it attracts a certain number of people. And again, serial killers, that probably have a big narcissist thing as well. So you can see how two people, we love the idea of, I'm going to outsmart you. The killer wants to outsmart the smart cop. The cop wants to outsmart the killer. It becomes a huge clash of egos, and away we go.
Right. I want to say thanks to old Chappie Boss series on the lives all the time, but he did a super chat, $1.99 super chat. So thanks, buddy. Murder cases in college football today sounds like quite the combination. It's not quite chocolate and peanut butter, but I mean, it sounds, I could do that. Well, very cool, man. I appreciate that very much. I had somebody in one of my comments talk about how much money we all make from this stuff. I laughed at the last live I did. I think it was $1.58 in the ad revenue. $1.98 or 58 or whatever it was, and I got one super chat. I think it was from Chappie that made more than the ad revenue. It was,
and yet you'll be called.
I'm not doing this for any reason like that. I'm just saying that if you're out there thinking that me and Lee are driving around and Hummers and all living the high life, it's certainly not the case. Would you agree? Lee?
Oh, absolutely. I'm people were taunting me when when Koberger pled guilty. Oh, you're gonna have to find another way to make money. I guess you're gonna have to go back and get a real job. And I'm like, if you think I'm supporting myself on this YouTube channel, you've got another thing coming. One, by the way, just checked in. He's on a cruise ship. He told me he wasn't going to be around this week, and here he is checking out our show. That is devotion, man. Thank you very much for checking in.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, even on a cruise ship, I guess we're really made it. I guess, Lee, we're on cruise ships. I mean, we're all
We
over
can't. You and I can't afford to go on a cruise ship. We just
No.
talked about that.
Would be fun though one of these days to do a little tour, you and I, like a live,
like a murder cruise.
I've done live podcasts before at events. I did one, our 33rd episode. I did a podcast on Gacy because he had 33 victims. Episode 33, Murder Metal Mayhem, was live, and we had nothing but problems with the PA. I had nothing to do with it, although the guy running the thing knew I was a band guy, and he was trying to get me to volunteer to become in charge of this friggin' PA, but I wasn't taking any claim on that. I wanted to focus on my booth,
Could you imagine, Pete? I just had a brainstorm. Could you imagine how cool this would be? Check out this brainstorm idea. Never going to happen, but I think it's super cool. You can get those party games that are like murder mystery parties, and people show up. You send invites, and you have a dinner, and people take on roles, and you have to try to solve the murder by the end of the night.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be badass if we did that with a bunch of YouTubers that were covering true crime together, and we all took on roles and played it for like
that would be really cool.
That would be the most badass thing ever.
That
you
would
and
be
me
really
and Pavarotti sitting there, and Birdie, and everybody's sitting at the all playing a role in a murder mystery for the night, not knowing who the killer is. That'd be amazing.
That would be really cool. Yeah, that's one of those. I'd love to have it happen, but I probably doubt it will. But
it was a dream.
It's cool, very cool. But yeah, so that good updates there on that Fry hearing, and those interviews that you did. I mean, definitely going to be cool to help keep people interested in this case, because while it's still lots of stones to unturn here, we don't even know the amount of victims there are. So
right.
This is just kind of in languishing on and on. I wonder how Rex is holding up in prison. Have you heard, or jail? Have you heard anything about him in jail?
Only that I've heard that his family, has visited him. It's interesting, if I can side riff for a moment. So Asa, I'm not sure how to pronounce her name, but Asa divorced him very quickly after he was found guilty. But that was for financial reasons,
right?
Because he was the primary breadwinner and she had nothing. So he basically got his name off the house so that they wouldn't lose the house and all those things. And they stayed close. And I remember reading that when Victoria went to visit her dad in prison, it was one of the weirdest things for her, because it was just her dad. Like she went there and there was nothing weird about him. It was just like going to see dad, only now he's behind bars kind of thing.
Wow.
So I think he's still communicating with his family. As far as all looks and intents go, it's not like he's confessed to the family and said, yeah, I did it. He's just doing I'm the family man behind bars, and hopefully this all works out, and we'll see how it goes. But
yeah, that's interesting, but we'll see how this case shapes out. It's just fun to keep tabs on it. So we'll be doing these from time to time. We talked about the whole idea of Rex's wife and then the daughter potentially being involved. I mean, that would be, wow. I mean, talk about explosive. I mean, a family doing this almost reminds me of, there was a case I did from Scotland back in like the 1600s of a family of they left society and went in a cave, and there was like all this interbreeding and stuff, and they would prey upon people that walked along this trail in this forested area, and they would pick them off, and then they were cannibalizing them. Pretty sick story, but almost reminds me of that when you start talking about family members. I know the Hillside Stranglers, there was a cousins, I think, or an uncle and a nephew or something like that. There's been plenty of husbands and wives, but not a father-daughter. That definitely would be new.
I did look, I did a little Chat GPT discussion, and I know people have a weird feeling about Chat GPT, but I said, hey, has there ever been a father-daughter serial killer team. And it looks like there hasn't. Like, I don't think there's been a recorded case of a father-daughter serial killer case. And to be fair, the bodies that are attributed to Rex Heuermann are Victoria, his daughter, would have been too young to have been involved in those. But that was one of the questions I had, is follow the logic. If Rex Heuermann is working in tandem with another killer, then that might explain why his DNA is at a crime scene with a kill that's much different. In other words, he could be killing with another person and they prefer to kill a different way than he does. Could they still be working together, picking victims together, helping each other out? Because that has been done before in the past. There have been people who worked in tandem or parallel with each other, did crimes together, but had different ways that they preferred to kill. And so could that kind of thing happen? And then, as John Ray was kind of hinting, when he showed Victoria Heuermann, his daughter, had all kinds of morbid artwork that she liked and stuff that had death and torture elements in it. He didn't necessarily say, what if she's killing with her father, but what if she saw stuff? And what if she saw things and she knew what was going on, that the family knew what was going on, and that bends you a little bit and you become darker and a little bit more twisted, and who knows, so.
Yeah, I mean, anything's possible here. I forgot to mention earlier, too, I've got some new Murder Metal Mayhem stickers here with the new logo on it. These round stickers are really cool. I got a whole pile of them. I want to give a couple away tonight, so stick around here when we're wrapping it up. We're almost at an hour, Lee, already.
I want to answer Words Bloom. Can you put Words Bloom's question up and let me talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, no problem. Let me get that here. Words Bloom.
So, didn't they say that the wife knew Rex slept with prostitutes and she was okay with it, and he took them home in the basement, and that's how the wife and daughter's hair got on the body? So, excellent question. So, there have been rumors, largely, again, John Ray has been getting a lot of investigative stuff and people talking, that Asa and Rex were swingers, that they went to sex parties, that they had women to the house, and that, yes, Asa was well aware of Rex Heuermann's predilection towards prostitutes and women, and that her, argument that she had no idea this was going on is probably ludicrous, that she did indeed know that something was going on. Whether or not they knew that some people were being killed in the basement, that's up for debate. Rex Heuermann had a vault in the basement that no one was allowed to go in, allegedly. He had a special room in the basement no one was allowed to go in. It was always locked. That's the argument. When he would kill people in the house, according to the alleged allegations, because again, none of this has been proven in a court of law, but allegedly he did these killings when his wife and his family were out of town. He would wait for them to go on vacations or weekend trips, and then he would bring people to the house and possibly kill them in the house. So the argument, it goes both ways. Yes, the official story is they were out of the house when he did the killings and they had no idea what was happening, but there is indications that she knew darn well, and maybe they were swingers together and it was a common thing for them to live a little bit of a crazy lifestyle with women and stuff like that. So how much did she know? I don't know.
Very, very interesting. Yeah, that would be a mind blower, though, if she gets dragged into this thing later because something comes out that she was actually involved in it. Oh, I mean, it's happened plenty of times. The Ken and Barbie crimes in Canada. You got the Fred and Rose West. You got David and Catherine Burney there in Australia. I mean, there's plenty of them to talk about.
As an aside, did you hear about the guy that just recently trolled Asa Heuermann over buying the Jeep of Rex Heuermann on eBay? No. I tried to get him on the show. He came up on my news feed. So I'll try to be relatively brief. But again, now I'm going to play devil's advocates. Asa is financially destitute. Rex Heuermann was the single breadwinner. Asa hasn't worked a day in her life, practically. I think she did when they first met. She was working a job and hasn't worked since. So she doesn't have any skills. He was the primary breadwinner. He had the insurance for the family, and they have multiple problems that need attention. So when he went to prison or went to jail, they lost everything. They lost the primary breadwinner and they lost their insurance and they had no money. They were destitute. Now, Asa took $1 million to do the documentary that just recently came out. She took $1 million for that, which John Ray, by the way, depicts as that was a paid performance. Asa put on a paid performance. She was paid $1 million for that performance and that thing. But one of the things she did that led a lot of people to feel sketchy about it was she's trying to make money. So she asked for 279 guns were confiscated from the basement of Rex Heuermann's house because he was a gun collector. And she asked for the guns back. In the public, she was shamed for asking for the guns back, as if what kind of sick woman would want her husband's guns back? To which I immediately said, she's destitute. The only thing she has of value is 279 guns, because those guns are going to fetch some money. Well, one of the things that she also did that was a little sketchy is on eBay, she put up Rex Heuermann's Jeep, an old authentic like Jeep, and said, hey, by the way, this Jeep was owned by alleged serial killer Rex Heuermann and driven during the period of time when the murders were taking place. eBay didn't like that. They spanked her for it and said it was kind of murder mobilia, and they pulled it down. She reworded the ad and just said, hey, this Jeep was formerly owned by the Long Island serial killer, and left it at that. And that was allowed. And a guy bought it for $25,000. And then when she asked for the money, he said, you're not going to profit off your husband's murder, you ghoul. Guess who's not paying for that car? Me. And so he taunted her, and he got big press taunting her. So I reached out to the guy and said, hey, come on my show and let's talk about why you taunted Rex Heuermann's wife, and already have decided he's the killer before they've even had a trial. But anyways, that didn't take me up on the offer.
That whole thing with the car reminds me of back when I played in my first band, Sacred Oath, back in Connecticut. We had a band on our record label. Well, we had the Goo Goo Dolls on our record label, but the Goo Goo Dolls didn't sound like the Goo Goo Dolls that they do nowadays. They were like punk. Anyway, we were on the label with this band called Ed Gein's Car, and I just thought it was so stupid because I didn't know at the time who Ed Gein was.
Yeah.
And I thought, what's the deal with Ed Gein's Car? It sounds like a strange band name, but actually I read a bio or a book about Ed Gein and talked about after he was gone, the murderabilia thing was like in its infancy, and some carny owner bought his car and then was charging people like 10 cents to get your picture taken in the car that he used to drive the bodies from the cemetery to his house. And of course, not everybody was down with that. I thought it was pretty sick. But this guy was like one of these real shyster types. He's like, screw you, I'm going to keep doing it. And he kept doing it for a while until eventually, I don't know if it was that he was gone or what the deal was. But yeah, eventually it stopped. But yeah, they were using Ed Gein's car to take or charge people at a fair or whatever around Wisconsin. So that's where he was from. So yeah, that reminded me of that.
Story.
Yeah, that's pretty wild stuff. So anything else up ahead on your channel that you wanted to talk about, Lee? Anything that you're going to Crime Con? That's going to be exciting. What you said, it's in Colorado?
Yeah, Aurora, Colorado. They listed it as Denver. So if you look at CrimeCon, it says Denver, but reality is the conference is in Aurora. It's just that Aurora touches Denver. And so the Denver's got the big name. They're like, but for me, Aurora, Colorado is near and dear to my heart. When I first started crime blogging, it was about the Aurora theater shooting at Century 16 Theaters. James Egan Holmes shot up the theater and killed 12 and injured 70. And, and so that was my first real big true crime case that I followed. So it's weird for me going back to Aurora, Colorado. Yeah. I've actually reached out to the police department's press contact to see if I can get an interview with any police officer who might still be in Aurora, Colorado that was there back in 2012. But they haven't responded to that. So I know that Aurora police are giving a demonstration of police dogs at the Crime Con. So maybe I'll be able to see a police officer there. But yeah, I was hoping for an interview because it was just near and dear to my heart. But as far as my channel goes, Idaho 4 is still kind of going. I'm way behind on the Idaho State Police documents, but I've done like 50 pages of 550. And
you've done the yeoman's work there with those. Man, I don't know how you do it.
I put in a lot of hours. So I probably am going to do a few more breakdowns as more time goes by. What I have to say won't be new. So I'm just going to try to focus on the things that I have new to add to it. So when I do get to those documents, because I'm so far behind, I probably won't cover as much detail as I would have done if I'd been doing it a long time ago. But that's the thing that people seem to forget. I'm covering 3 cases. Some YouTubers only cover Idaho 4 and that's all they do. And so I can't keep up with these guys who have every single time something breaks, they've got 40 million of hours of videos on it. And I've got 3 cases: Luigi Mangione, Long Island serial killer, Idaho 4. And then from time to time, we do other crazy stuff.
Right. And we were talking about a case or a docuseries that's coming out. We're going to show you a trailer for it, but we were thinking, this has something to do, or the title is intriguing. Lee, what's the title of this docuseries?
What was it? Something with the devil. What was it?
Let the devil
Let the
in.
devil in. Let the devil in. I thought to myself, how does Pete and I not do comments on this docuseries? I had it pop up on my phone saying you might want to watch a new 4-part documentary called "Let the Devil In" about I think it was a murder of a nun by her son or something like that. And
it was a mother who was very religious, and her son
yeah,
were
both murdered.
Were both murdered, and it was in New Jersey, which intrigued me because the original story of The Exorcist, written by William Peter Blatty, and The Exorcist to me is tied. I have to give it a tie. The greatest horror novel ever written, The Exorcist by Peter Blatty, and The Shining by Stephen King. The pacing as an author, it's tough to keep pacing. Like the reader, almost feels like exhausted. When I finished reading The Exorcist, I was like, I needed to go take a nap, because I was so exhausted from that final scene. Is so well written, but I love that book. But Peter Blatty had read an article back when he was in college about a boy who his parents claimed, and his parishioner or the priest in his church claimed was possessed, and they ended up taking him to St. Louis, and he supposedly was exorcised, and then went on to live a normal life. But that story is what prompted Blatty to write The Exorcist. Of course, he changed it to a woman or a girl instead of a boy. But yeah, so that was in New Jersey. So it's interesting. I'm sure that'll come up when we get into this. But we talked about watching it, and then commenting on it on a maybe a recorded show together about our thoughts about what we were thinking about it. So
yeah,
let's check that out. See if I can do this. Okay.
Hopefully, don't get a copyright violation for showing this.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because I'm going to make so much money off this live.
Right,
I might not get my
$20-second preview, and we'll probably get hammered on the whole thing. You can't monetize this because at 20 seconds.
Right. Okay, here we go.
What happens when you invite darkness into your mind? Jefferson, New Jersey, 1988. Mother and son brutally killed.
Never expected to come across what I found.
Rumors spread that the devil made him do it.
Is that possible?
What's being hidden here?
What was going on with this family?
Was I talking to Satan or Tom?
Could it be
I'm Eli Roth. This is Let the Devil In, only on MGM Plus.
I'm glad you did that. I made a reference the other day to the church lady, and I feel like at my age nobody gets that reference, but you would get that. I wonder who that could be. Could it be? I don't know, Satan?
I used to have a poster. I can't find it anymore. I looked on eBay and on Amazon, that church lady poster I used to have, but it had Dana Carvey dressed up as her, and it had the "Could It Be Satan" on it. I used to have that in my apartment. I don't know what happened. Probably got
and the reason it came up is I said in the Idaho 4 case, I absolutely do not believe Kohberger is going to file an appeal, even because the appeals window is almost closed. And I said, I don't think he's going to. But if he does file an appeal, I will put on a dress and I will put on a gray wig and I will do the superior dance, just like Dana Carvey, and I'll do the superior dance. So, but okay. I think nobody would get the humor, but I might do it anyways.
Yeah,
no, I don't think it's going to happen. Apparently,
Chappie also is down with that here. With
so say it. I noticed that trailer, by the way, there was some actors in that trailer. They call it a documentary, but there was clearly some actors, and they had that effect to make somebody's eyes look like they're glowing red. And so I'm not sure how it's going to go over, because it looks like it's a little bit of an overproduced documentary, but I'm curious to watch it anyways. And I think it would be fun for you and I, because it fits into the whole Devil's Mayhem mashup thing we're doing, to maybe just focus on a show that's true crime and has Let the Devil In as the title. As why the hell wouldn't we do that?
Yeah, definitely. Donna Lembo comments she lives very close to Jefferson and never heard of this. So there you go, Donna. You learn something every day, right? That's awesome. And my good friend, my friend from Army basic training, boy, we went through hell together. Ray
Nice.
McFalls, good to see you, my friend. Sorry that the Yankees beat up so nastily on your Nationals there, but I was going to text you about it, but I thought you might be still mad about it. He says, "Hell yeah, Dana Carvey loved the SNL back in the day." Yeah, those were the glory days, right? Chris Farley and Dana Carvey and Mike Myers and all those guys. That was friggin' hilarious back then. Now
Yeah.
it just sucks and it's all politicized and it's awful. I can't get into it, but that's cool. Ray, good to see you here, my friend. But let's see what else we got here before we're at an hour and 10 minutes. So we're getting up to our hour and a half. We didn't know how long we were going to go tonight because it's hard to gauge a something like this where there's not tons of stuff coming in for us to sift through. We've covered some of these things already, but
I know some of your audience isn't going to be into this, but I'll mention it anyways. There have been legal documents dropped in the Luigi Mangione case. I'll be covering that tomorrow. So I did do a video about some legal documents this morning on Luigi Mangione, but some new documents have been filed, a couple of different documents just in the last couple of days. So Friday's show for me before going into the weekend, I've been trying to move to this format of going into the weekend of Freaky Friday, where it's a little bit more lighthearted. However, they freaking dropped legal documents on me. So it's hard to make legal documents lighthearted. But anyways, for those who are interested in Luigi Mangione, we'll be covering some of that tomorrow.
That's cool. And I've been covering that Sheriff Steins case there in Kentucky with him shooting the judge. What the hell with that? And a potential alleged sex ring between the judge and these girls in the jail, and he's having sex with them in the chambers in exchange for a free ankle monitor.
Oh my gosh, I got to get into that case.
It's so ridiculous. It's like, what the hell? And then they said that the guys working in the jail, the guards, were taking women home and like for the night, and then bringing them back like a library books, or video rentals. Like
what's the name of this case? I got to find this case. What is the name of this case?
Sheriff Steins, Steins, Sheriff Mickey Steins. And the Kentucky, it's in Letcher County, Kentucky, which is southeast, very rural, very small town. It's a wild one, but when they arrest, he turned himself in, and he was on video shooting this guy multiple times in the chambers. It's brutal.
Yeah, I think I've seen that video.
Yeah, and he turned himself in, and he's just like, "I did it," and he was saying that he was afraid that the people were after him, and he thought that they were going to get his wife, and they were asking him what people, and he didn't want to talk about it. And so it was interesting because he had to give a deposition in a big civil lawsuit, and they were worried what was he going to say in the deposition.
I doubt you can say this honestly and bluntly in front of everybody, but are you going to be a little personally butthurt if I start picking up on that case? Because that sounds like it's so in my wheelhouse.
Not at all. No, I think it's great. I would love to be able to talk about it with you. So
yeah, I'm already intrigued. I'm so every time you talk about it, I'm like, why the hell am I not looking into that?
Yeah, you got to check it out. There's quite a few things on the case now, and the recent allegations of this elaborate sex ring. With one of the former women from the jail and a former female jailer who concurred that was going on with the inmates. So,
wow,
pretty messed up. Yeah. So it's another one of those cases of this corrupt crap going on in these cities and towns around the U.S. I mean, it's awful. I mean, I don't understand why people got to be like that. I mean, goddamn.
Yeah. And the reason why
Revolution says not like a library.
The reason I have a bug up my butt about that stuff too is because I grew up, being told to respect the police, and they were. And I always felt like judges and police and religious leaders were a step above everyone else. They were better people.
Right.
And when they burst my bubble, and I realized that they're oftentimes bigger pieces of shit than everybody else, and worse yet, hide behind the facade of being granted the belief that they're better than you, it made me super angry. And so
Yes.
to this day, I have a bug up my ass for people who are in a position where they're given without anything that they did on their part, they're given respect that they didn't deserve because they're horrible people. And so I just get my panties in a bunch, I guess, for lack of a better
No,
word.
I agree. It's ridiculous is what it is. Words Bloom gifted 5 Murder Metal Mayhem memberships. Thank you very much. So 5 of you will randomly get a membership. So that's cool. I try to do a weekly email or post to the members only. The members only get pictures, behind the scenes pictures. I've shared some like baby pictures or something um, with them, and just random things. My dog laying on the floor, and just more of a personal touch, things that are going on around me while I'm doing these videos and that sort of thing. But getting ready to do a studio tour. So if you're a member, you're going to see that before everybody else. It'll be the Horns High Studio Tour before I get in there again. It's all wheelchair accessible now. I just got to finish clearing the studio, cleaning it up a little bit from being down for a year. But also was waiting on the weather to break to where it's consistently cool out, because it gets hot out there. I've got air conditioning, but the less things I have to do with this, the better with my situation. So once it's cooled down for good, I'll definitely be out there again, and you guys will get to see me in my normal lair, which is just off the chain with blood spattered walls, serial killer masks all over the place. It's one of a kind, and that's for sure. So you guys will get to see that. But yeah, that's cool that Words Bloom did that. Very nice. But let's see. How about the George Costanza pose? Yeah, there we go. Sign. Yes. So anything else that you wanted to put out, Lee, before we call it quits here tonight?
No, I'm just thankful again for having an opportunity to come on your show and talk to people together. I think it's a good collaboration when we do these things. And at the point that it ever gets boring to people, we'll stop doing it. But for then,
they seem to like it. They seem to like it. And again, thoughts to AR, who's got some big surgery coming up tomorrow. So go over to his channel if you're not a subscriber. Give him some love. If you can super chat or do something like that for him, I'm sure anything would help. But there it is. AR Hayes, Convict's Thoughts. And of course, Lee, Devil's Advocates. Fantastic channel. I love it. Watch you all the time. You entertain my wife and I when you're doing your sideways rants, and it's awesome. I love it. I really do.
Appreciate
it. But thanks to all you guys that watch these videos. You guys are amazing. We really wouldn't be fun to do this without you guys. So thank you for watching, and we'll be back. I'll be doing a live this weekend. I'm not sure if it's Saturday or Sunday yet, but it'll be at 4:00 Eastern. And I've been doing open discussion lives on the weekend, and those have been going really well. People seem to dig that, so I'll probably do one of those again. So with that, we'll go ahead and say good night.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.